Welcome to a lower body mobility and stretching routine for any type of athlete, specifically CrossFit or any other cross training. For this you'll need floor space, a wall, and a lacrosse ball. Starting from the ground up, right now stretching our toes by using the floor. Here we're focusing on toe extension, rolling through pinky to big toe. This could help you with your burpees, your push-ups, your lunges. And as always, when you stretch, focus on deep breathing as you feel your end range of motion. Now working on toe flexion. Again, using the floor for support, rolling through pinky toe to big toe. Now switching feet, toe extension. Same as before, using the floor for support, rolling through big toe, big toe, and everything in between. You can adjust your foot, change the angle, finding positions that take you to your end range of motion without pain. Again, toe flexion, rolling through, using the floor for support. Feel free to hold on to something if balance is an issue. You could have a chair nearby or a wall, making sure you can focus on the stretch. Remember to breathe. Now using a lacrosse ball to roll, first side to side, making your way down the foot, and then quickly back and forth. This will come in handy if the toe flexion, toe extension from the previous exercise made your foot cramp. Rolling out the muscles under the foot, only spending about 30 seconds here. Now the other foot, left to right like a windshield wiper, making your way down the foot towards the heel, and then front to back. Not only along the middle of your foot, but also along the outside and inside edge. Now assisting our toe extension by using downward dog. As opposed to our typical downward dog, our heels are up because we want to accentuate that toe flex position. Similar to before, rolling big toe to big toe, maybe pumping the feet to alternate the load across each foot. Only spending 30 seconds here. From there, you'll forgive me, I am now barefoot, as perhaps should you be, now playing rock, paper, scissors with my toes. So pulling the toe up for scissors, spreading the toes wide for paper, and making a fist for rock. Just alternating rock, paper, scissors, spending 30 seconds per foot. Scissors, paper, rock. Scissors, paper. You may find that your foot feels uncoordinated at first. Just do your best to hit these positions. Rock, scissors, paper. About 30 seconds per foot here. Now using a sturdy wall, this is to warm up your ankles and your tibialis, doing toe raises. This is easiest with either bare feet or sock feet. If you use shoes, they may get in the way. We'll be spending 2 minutes here alternating between the front side of the ankle and the back side of the ankle. So here now, working on our tibialis, you'll immediately feel warmed up. Now coming around, and for this especially, you'll need a very sturdy wall. Finding the angle where your ankles are fully flexed, dorsiflexed. Your heels should be just off the floor to provide a challenge in terms of your dorsiflexion, and then pressing through in a typical calf raise. We'll do 2 cycles of this. So that was 30 seconds of tibialis, and then 30 seconds of calf. And now again, 30 seconds of tibialis. Making sure to keep your knees straight. Lifting the toes as high as you can, not just going through the motions, but really trying to get to the end range of motion by the merit of your tibialis strength. You can also increase the angle to make it more challenging. Once again, backside, working on the ankles, calves, Achilles, and even coming back to toe extension here to stretch the feet even more. This was 2 minutes total, alternating tibialis and calves. Now find yourself a step to again work on our ankles and calves, so stretching deeply into dorsiflexion and then pressing through that calf raise into plantar flexion. Again, not just going through the motions, but really feeling the stretch as you go down and really squeezing and pressing through the toes as you go up. You can do this on a step, a curb, or 2 plates. Of course, feel free to use something to support your balance as well. Only 30 seconds there. Here now, a classic, the couch stretch. We'll do 30 seconds right, then left, then right, then left for a total of 2 minutes. Knee as close to the wall as you can. Heel will come into your butt, and as your mobility develops, your back will come closer or may even touch the wall. You want to feel a stretch through the front of the hip and through the quadricep of that leg that is hiked back. Switching legs. Knee close to wall. Heel close to butt, and bringing the torso upright. This is also stretching the foot in the plantar flex position. You may find you have differences between your sides. My right and left are fairly different, and it's something I need to work on, and you have things that you need to work on. Now switching again. You may find that you go deeper in the second iteration. This is a very valuable stretch, so if you'd like to pause the video and do a few more cycles, 30 seconds to a minute per side, repeating and alternating sides. Switching once again, another 30 seconds on this other side. Finding your end range of motion, feeling that stretch through the front of the hip, trying to get your torso upright and potentially against the wall. Be sure not to compromise at your low back. Keep your abs engaged, your pelvis relatively neutral, and stretch through the hip flexor. Now switching to a kneeling hamstring stretch. So you can see I have my knee, my heel, and my hands on the ground. More points of contact with the ground. should make your body feel safer so you can focus on going more deeply into the stretch. Here I'm trying to stretch the hamstring of the outstretched leg. Breathing very deeply, maybe relaxing on the stretch as you breathe in, but then going more deeply into the stretch as you breathe out. As you breathe, you may find that you can go more and more deeply as time goes on. So this is a minute here on the first side. You can also pull the toe up if you'd like to accentuate the stretch. That may limit how deeply you can go. And if you're a dancer or performance artist, you can also point the toe. From here, we'll do Seiza repeats for 30 seconds. This is just to close the knee. You might not feel a stretch here, but you might feel resistance in the knee through your connective tissue. So very gently sitting down into the knees until you have hamstring contact on the calves or butt contact on the heels. Just repeating, coming to a tall kneeling position and then a seated kneel position. From there, we'll go hamstring stretch on the other side. And again, potentially starting fairly high, maybe even having to support yourself on your leg instead of the floor. But as you breathe deeply and as time goes on, you'll be able to go more and more deeply into the stretch. Stretching also gives you a chance to have mindful breathing, and getting practice in that will also help you in your fitness endeavors. Focusing on breathing deeply and going more and more deeply into the stretch. Now coming back to that kneeling position for 30 seconds of Seiza repeats. Tall kneeling and seated. Good. Shifting and changing your position as needed. Trying to get full knee closure. And if you get something in your eye, just try to relax and move on. From here, coming into reverse Nordics, starting first with the fingertips touching the ground. The hips should remain fully extended, the butt squeezed, and you are rising and lowering based solely on the merit of your quadricep strength. Now making fists, trying to touch your fists to the ground as you repeat these reverse Nordics. Now this is mobility, strength mixed with flexibility. And eventually you may get your back touching the ground. Today we'll be doing these hand-supported variations. Now reaching for the palms to touch the ground. This is our biggest range of motion for the day. Again, controlled back, full palm contact with the ground, and using your quadriceps and hip flexors to pull you out to that tall kneeling position. Now very similar, coming into Camel. Support your low back as you lean back, one hand at a time, reaching for your heels or for your feet, relaxing your head, and breathing. The focus here is a front side midsection stretch, so hip flexors through the abdominals, using your arms for support, and breathing deeply. Try to open up your chest, extend your upper back, not relying solely on your lower back. And breathe. We're here for a full minute. Support your low back as you come out. and immediately come down to all fours. We'll go through a quick cycle of cat-cow, breathing in as we arch up and breathing out as we round out for 5 breaths. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. From there, we're on our feet for a forward fold to Cossack squat. My feet are about 1 meter apart as I shift into a single leg squat. The outstretched leg, the toe, can be still in contact with the ground or lift the toe up. It will either stretch your groin or your hamstring. And the focus is on that bent leg to have full knee closure and full hip closure. The heel may come off the ground, it may not. As you switch between sides, you can feel that hamstring stretch as you like. Hamstrings, of course, being fairly tight in the general modern population. We'll be here for 2 minutes, cycling between sides as desired. Hands can remain in contact with the floor as desired as well, as this is a stretch and mobility sequence. If more points of contact with the floor make you feel safer and more able to go into a stretch, then by all means, have more points of contact with the floor. As with all hamstring stretches, be sure that you're hinging at the pelvis and not rounding out the back excessively, just to reach your hands farther. You want to be stretching your hamstrings farther. That squatting leg is following a typical squat pattern, so knees in line with the toes, coming deep into the hip crease and getting a full bend in the knee. And the final hamstring stretch after 2 minutes of repeats. From there, coming into a long lunge position, the back leg is straight and up into crescent pose. We'll be here for a full minute. Now you can see I'm shifting and kind of bouncing and exploring different positions. You should too. The focus here is to stretch the hip flexor of that backward reaching leg, that straight leg. What will help is to squeeze the butt of that back leg. That will keep your pelvis neutral, help stretch your hip, and then of course shifting as needed, reaching into your best overhead position, breathing deeply, and trying to stretch the muscles connected to your pelvis. This could be twisting, rising and lowering, and everything in between. Coming down, switching legs into that long lunge, runner's lunge. Breathing deeply in as you reach into your crescent pose. And then just exploring different positions to try to stretch the hip flexor. And remaining stable and balanced in this lunge position. As always, remembering, breathing deeply to help you relax into the stretch. Coming down now. Here we have a deep squat, so completely throwing neutral spine to the wind. And just trying to close the knees fully, close the hips fully. Once you're down there, you can shift, you can relax. Push the knees wide. Get Get the elbows inside the knees, just trying to stretch the hips and close the knees. We'll be here for 1 minute. Again, this is one that you could stay here for up to 5 minutes and continue to reap the benefits. You can see me shifting, trying to get deeper and lower into the hips. Not worried about spine position here. Just trying to stretch the hips, close the knees, and stretch the ankles. Now, a minute is hardly enough for me, so if you'd like to pause the video, you may. From here, a variation on modified pigeon and swivel hips, or the bear position. So you can see both knees are roughly at 90 degrees when you're off to the side there. Here I'm trying to stretch my hip and my femur, my upper leg, into external rotation. As I come across, I try to spread my knees wide to, again, stretch the hips. You may be able to do this with no hand support. My internal rotation on one side and external rotation on the other is limited, and so my sides may also look different. Your sides may also look different. But again, we're doing our best, shifting left to right for a momentary stretch in pigeon, modified pigeon, or right angle pose in some disciplines, right angle stretch, and of course the bear seated position. You can stay longer than I am in these positions, just showing how to shift from side to side, and of course feel free to pause the video and spend more time breathing and stretching in these positions. Here for us now, we're here for 2 minutes. This is also a great option if the standard pigeon stretch doesn't agree with you. For me, on my right side, the standard pigeon stretch bothers my knee. So if you're in that same boat, this modified pigeon may be just for you. Now in bear pose, bear position, squeezing the knees wide. To wrap up, coming into downward dog, connecting the movement to our breath, so breathing out into downward dog and in into upward dog. Breathing in an upward dog gives you some intra-abdominal pressure, protecting your spine in that extended position. And breathing out into downward dog is the bigger stretch, so it helps to breathe out and relax into that overhead stretch, that calf stretch, and that hamstring stretch. So again, breathing in for upward dog and breathing out for downward dog. We are coming into the end of our stretching session as you continue to breathe in on upward dog and out for downward dog. Feel free to spend some more time breathing, especially as you come into the all fours position at the end of this. You can also just lay flat on your back and focus on your breathing. Come back into your body and continue having a great day. If you were following along, thank you for joining. If you were just watching to learn the stretches, have a look at the comments and you'll see a list of the stretches with the allotted time in the video. You can continue this practice on your own or follow along the video as desired. Thank you for joining. This has been Gustin Rankin with Chikara CrossFit.